Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. I'm your host, Anish Gupta,
I'm Srikar.
and we are back with another weekly episode. If you guys missed it, we just released a Malik Willis scouting report, so go check that out. We'll leave a card up on the top right of your screen if you guys want to see that. Really not much to ask about football weekend, but it is draft week. I'm really excited. I know Srikar is. Both our teams are not picking in the first round, but there's some buzz around the Niners with some first round picks that might be involved for a particular star that has ties to both of us.
Yep.
One of us who is probably his biggest fan, and I'm not talking
Maybe.
about Srikar. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. We're gonna talk obviously, with the draft coming up. First of all, I can't even believe it's already draft week. Like, I mean, this is like this is the definition of, the NFL offseason. It's kind of the last big leg, right?
Yep.
OTAs have started. We've seen some of our favorite players come back into the office, but now it's also time to add to our teams with some players, with some young rookies, with a lot of talent. So with the draft, obviously, you guys pretty much know a lot about what's coming up. You guys know it's an edge rush heavy class. You know it's a little bit weak on the quarterback. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you some bold predictions that we see potentially coming up in this year's NFL draft on Thursday, whether it be a day one thing, a day two or three thing. Srikar, you want to give us your first kind of hot take / bold prediction on what's coming up for the draft?
Yep. And this prediction comes at the 25 spot. The Tennessee Titans are going to be picking there. And look, I think if John Robinson likes a quarterback,
No way.
I think it's going to happen. And it doesn't really align with our mock draft. These are just things that I could see happening, but I'll go ahead and make the prediction. If a guy like Kenny Pickett is available at 25 somehow, obviously you can go check out our last mock draft. Kenny Pickett fell out of the first round completely.
Yeah.
If I'm the Titans in that spot, I look at Ryan Tannehill. He's 34. How has he done in the playoffs? He hasn't been bad. He hasn't been good. I don't think he's going to win you a Super Bowl. I'll go out on the record and I'll say that. I don't think he's going to be the guy. So if John Robinson and Mike Vrabel really like a guy from this class that they feel could take them to the next level, because think about it, how much longer can Derrick Henry take this workload? You got to have a guy that could be, a little bit more dynamic, a la Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett. I don't know if Malik Willis will make it all the way to 25. But even now, like AJ Brown, he's asking for money. Could we see a trade with him? Maybe. I don't know. But look, I'll say this. If you're at 25, Kenny Pickett falls to you. I don't think a trade up would happen with the Titans. I think they're going to stand pat at 25. I really don't know how you can pass on legit upside. We saw a similar situation years ago with Kansas City. They were good, but they were always limited with Alex Smith. And I see the same thing here with Tannehill. And obviously the Chiefs finally traded up. They selected Patrick Mahomes. They became a superpower. So I think Robinson should be bold if given that moment.
We really should have rehearsed this. My first take on my board was that the Titans are going to go quarterback.
Oh my
But
God.
I had Sam Howell. And here's
Wow.
why. Here's why. So my hot take, I guess we can just combine ours. My
Yep.
hot take was that Sam Howell's going to go to the Titans probably in the second round, or maybe even in the first. It could be a reach. You never know. So one of those two picks, either their day 2-1 or in the first round. And he shows some promise his first year and gets some playing time in his rookie year. Like Tannehill does really bad 1 week and he shows some promise. That was my hot take. Literally, we didn't rehearse this at all.
We didn't.
And the reason why I went with Sam Howell and not Kenny Pickett is because, look, as much of a Pickett fan I am in terms of just his, I guess, fundamentals, I guess upside wise, I don't know how much he has over Ryan Tannehill. I think they're just as mobile. Pickett might be a little bit more. I think Tannehill's got a better deep ball. He's better off play action. So I don't know if the Titans would really settle for Pickett. What I would say though, Sam Howell, he was the top 3 quarterback coming into the 2021 college football season. And again, I've said this before on the pod, he lost both his running backs. He lost his top 2 receivers. His O-line was terrible. But prior to that, his sophomore year, he was the best deep ball thrower in this class. So I think if anything, Sam Howell's got a lot of upside. I honestly, truth be told, he was my QB1 coming into 2021. And things went a little bit south, but I think he's got, a moxie to him. I think he's a really talented quarterback, and I think he's kind of flowing under the radar. and I'm gonna one up you and say that Sam Howell goes to the Titans, not Pickett. I think you're right. Like I think even in our board, I think Pickett's gonna go around that 16 to 23 area, and I think Sam Howell goes to the Titans and does what you're thinking.
Look, it's fair. I won't even pinpoint a specific quarterback right now, but look, if John Robinson sees legit upside in Howell, Ritter, Corral, Pickett, I feel like it's too tantalizing not to take a guy like that. He can learn under Tannehill potentially. And like you said, if Tannehill has a bad week, obviously the fans are going to be, a little bit
Right,
adamant
because they
about
were on
him
his head for the
week.
playoff loss. I mean, I defended him, but most of Titans Nation didn't really see it the way I did.
I
So
didn't defend it either. I just don't think Ryan Tannehill can win you a bowl. It is what it is. But
yeah, I might be on that track. Like you're right, he is 34. I don't really know if Tannehill is one of those guys that just can uplift you to a Super Bowl. I don't know. I still think he's a talented guy, but you're right, Srikar. He's also making a lot of money.
yeah,
They signed him to a really big deal after the 2019 playoff run when they were at the AFC Championship game. So I do agree with you in that sense. I think maybe his time is ticking, but my only thing is they need some more help on interior O line. Definitely also in the back end, maybe to help out Christian Fulton and Kevin Byard. But if Sam Howell is maybe available in day 2, maybe around like pick 40, I would love for them to trade up and get him. He would stay kind of close to home, right? Still kind of in that South. And I think he's ultra talented. So, I mean,
yeah.
hey, that's a that was a really ironic take between both of us. I guess I'll go on to my next one. And that is 5 edge rushers. Yes, 5 edge rushers will be drafted before Kyle Hamilton. That is, I think it's a
So I'm
yeah.
assuming you're saying so Hutchinson, Walker, Thibodeau. We're going Jermaine Johnson.
And there's one
Jermaine
more.
Johnson, and then I will say, I'm trying to think here. Who am I forgetting?
You're forgetting one.
Is it like obvious?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's the obvious 5th.
Hutchinson, Jermaine Johnson, and God, who is it?
George Karlaftis.
Karlaftis. Yep.
Yeah, so I think those 5 will go before Kyle. It's a bold one because
Where do
I
you
mean
think
that would
Kyle
mean,
Hamilton
right?
goes?
Huh?
Where do you think Kyle Hamilton goes then?
Yeah, so then I thought, right? I think Hamilton is hovering around that maybe 13 to 15 area. And I just think that maybe, so look, I think Walker and Hutchinson will probably be the first 2, right? And I think Thibodeau will go around the top 5, maybe to the Jets, to the Giants, wherever. I think Jermaine Johnson probably hits Seattle maybe if they do go there instead of Charles Cross, like we've had in our board. And then Karlaftis maybe goes at 11 or 12, which a little bit bold on my end, right? Maybe I mean I don't see the Vikings doing it. I don't see the Commanders doing it, but hey, so maybe someone trades up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the Jets, if they land right like Sauce Gardner or something at pick 4, then they go with Karlaftis as an edge and pick 10. So you never know how that might shape out. Maybe the Falcons trade back. So that was my bold little take. Maybe 5 edge rushers. Because if I say 4, then that's like kind of obvious, right? My intuition was like, okay, the 5th one goes, or maybe Kyle Hamilton slides so far back that maybe another team at like 16 or 15 scoops an edge rusher before Kyle goes. So that was a bold take of mine.
I think it's fair. I'm still gonna say 4, just because I don't know. I don't think Karlaftis is obviously you said barring trades, but
Right.
I don't think Karlaftis is gonna go before Hamilton. But we could see a Hamilton fall. I don't know if I don't think it's gonna be too drastic. I could see the Commanders just scooping him up at 11. Maybe the Eagles, the Vikings, Texans. I don't see him falling that.
Yeah, I don't see the Vikings or Commanders simply because the Commanders want Cam Curl to develop more. That's why they let go of Landon Collins. They didn't want to pay him. And then for the Vikings, I mean, they've got Harrison Smith. I know he's getting old. Maybe you can put Kyle Hamilton instead of Xavier Woods, but I just don't think he's a true free safety. I mean, I see all these TikTokers saying Kyle Hamilton is the best prospect in the draft. Can you prove it to me? Like, I mean, what analysis are you? You're saying he's like the best sideline to sideline safety. Like, please elaborate. Give me some more technical, I guess aspects of his game. From his tape, he's a really good. I love his tape. I really do. But I just don't know if you're really getting for value wise. And I do agree with Jack. He's not a Derwin James type prospect. He's not a Jamal Adams type prospect. Great guy. He's a great player. Just don't necessarily think he's going to have that type of immediate impact.
Yeah, he's just very versatile. I mean, that's the
Oh, yeah.
selling point with Kyle Hamilton. But as far as I'm concerned, Hutchinson is the best prospect in this draft, in my opinion. But
I don't know. I think
I
he's the most ready. I think he's the most ready. Upside wise, no. I think Kayvon is a mix of both Walker and Hutchinson. I mean, maybe if you want to talk about it, right? Did you see the whole odds change for
Yep.
Walker?
I
I
was
mean,
actually Vegas always knows something that we just don't. So if Jacksonville really wants to bank on that athletic upside and go, projection over production, then Travon Walker is going to be the pick. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's something that I could see happening. If I'm the Jaguars, I'm going with production. I'd go with the safer
I mean,
pick
yeah,
here.
like I mean, the last like player you really took on upside in with the
Chaseman.
first overall pick.
Oh, at first.
I don't know. Like I'm thinking like all these guys that have gone first overall, it's either been a quarterback who obviously, you want quarterbacks are franchise altering, or it's a can't miss, defensive or offensive player, right? So there've only been two defensive players drafted first overall since in the last 15 years. And one of them was Myles Garrett, who was literally a cannot miss. Like he could not fail. He was a perfect place anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I think this might be the second one because I think it's no question that they're going edge rusher now. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of who. And obviously the whole narrative with Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh, the whole, I guess
Aldon
animosity.
Smith.
But
Yeah, I don't.
why would that prevent you from taking the better player? That should no
Exactly.
way, shape, or form do that. And I agree, his Aiden Hutchinson arm length is a concern, but he's the most pro ready, and he's had the most production out of any of these guys. So
Yeah, I agree. It just wouldn't make sense to me, especially when Balky should know his job isn't as secure as he thinks it is. So if
right,
I'm in this situation, I'm not gonna bank on a guy that could be good after I'm gone. I'd rather get the guy that's safer,
right.
that can produce right away. And I really feel like Hutchinson would be that guy over Walker. So
I mean, the argument for Walker I can see is that at least he'll be paired alongside a guy like Josh Allen, right? So at least it's similar what he had in Georgia with, Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, right? At least the Jags have playmakers like that, right? But now your linebacking core is really iffy in my opinion, right? Like, because you lost Miles Jack.
mhm.
Where is Chason going to line up? He really hasn't proven himself to be worthy of that. I think it was like the 19th overall selection, something like
And keep in
that.
mind, Chason was another raw projection guy that they
Right,
took
and out of
before.
LSU, yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
it didn't work out, I'd say, to this point.
Yeah, I would say you want someone, if you're gonna go with the number one overall pick, you want someone that's going to make an impact. You cannot, number one overall pick busts are really bad. Like
Yeah.
it's something that you just should not whiff on.
Mhm.
But you want to move on to maybe your next hot take.
Yeah, my neck. It's not as hot as the previous one, but you look at that number 9 pick. You look at Seattle. In previous mock drafts that I've done and that Anish has done, we've all agreed that Charles Cross would be the offensive tackle that they take there. But recently, I've been seeing a lot of buzz. I've been seeing some articles. I've been seeing some pieces about Trevor Penning being the guy at number 9 instead of Charles Cross. And if that happens, we could see a cross slide to maybe 14 to the Ravens, maybe even beyond that to the Saints potentially at 16. But Trevor Penning, if you really think about it, Seattle tends to sometimes, go off the wall with their picks. I think this would be one of those picks. But if you want, here's the risk and, the reward with Trevor Penning. The downside is he has that mean streak he can finish, but also it could result in, bully ball resulting in too many penalties, which is the downside. The upside is he provides an identity for your offensive line. And if you're Seattle, that's exactly what you need right now. This offensive line unit is terrible. So if you want that leader on the offensive line, they could look at Penning and say, we need a guy like that who can show that grit, that aggression that we need to move into the future with. So I'm going to say Trevor Penning at 9 over Charles Cross if they go the offensive tackle direction. So that's the take. It's not as hot, but it's something that, might catch some people off guard.
I'm gonna try and refrain from being like Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank here, but that I completely disagree with. Like that, I mean, I say what you want about the buzz, sure. I mean, if there's buzz there, I would hate that if I'm Seattle. First of all, they're
I'm not
not
saying I would like it. I'm just saying
right.
that's what they might look
Right,
at.
and I would absolutely hate it because they're not a power run team. I mean, Rashad Penny is not. Sure, he had his moments, but he's not a true power running, running back. And I think with the skill set and the personnel that they have, right, to completely switch to wing formations and do, what Trevor Penning was in Northern Iowa, I would not like. I think Charles Cross is more versatile. I think he's got better hand technique. And sure, he's not as strong at finishing in the second level, but I think he's a way better tackle than Trevor Penning in terms of just being a rock solid pass protector. He is way better at pass protecting. That I don't think that's even close. Run blocking, sure, Penning's got the edge, but if you want a guy that you just line up at left tackle and just say, hey.
Well, think about it this way. Is this still going to be a pass-first team?
Well, I think you're right. That's where maybe there's some, unidentification, which is why I'm not, mad at the buzz, but I just would not do it because you still have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And it's not like Drew Lock doesn't have an arm, right? Sure, he's inaccurate at times. And yeah, his decision-making is very questionable. But he's got the arm to throw it downfield to these guys. So it's like if Seattle wants to go forward with Drew Lock as their guy, right? You have this. The only way I would see this is if they do what the Vikings would run, right? They would have 2 wide receivers on the outside and Metcalf and Lockett. They would have 2 tight ends with Fant and did they re-extend Gerald Everett?
No,
remember.
Everett left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm forgetting their second tight end. But yeah, they would probably have to have 2 tight ends on opposite sides. Fant's an okay blocker, and then they would probably have to put Penning on right or left tackle. But I don't know. I don't know if they would do that. I'm not a big fan of that for Seattle right now. If you want to be a run first team, then Penning's your guy. But I would much rather go with Charles Cross, who's a pass protector, and that's what Seattle's been struggling with.
Yeah, and their tight end too is Will Dissly, and then they have Colby Parkinson behind him.
But yeah, every time Srikar comes off with a bizarre take and we laugh at it, it sometimes happens. So I'm not gonna.
Most of the time it happens. Like people laugh
Henry
at
Ruggs,
and then it just.
I'll always go back to the Henry Ruggs first receiver off the ball. I remember Jack and I scoffed.
Alex Leatherwood, people were mad at it, and it ended up happening. Maybe it's the Raiders.
We'll give you credit there. I just would not like it from a football standpoint. So
look, I wouldn't either. I think Charles Cross is the more technically sound prospect than Trevor Penning. But with all this buzz, I feel like there's something there with Seattle.
Right. Again, if I was there, at least you know what I would do. Our final take here, and this one, I would not be happy with it, but I think it could happen. Treylon Burks does not go in the first round. That's a take of mine. And I just think first of all, I think a lot of people, at least from what we've heard, NFL scouts truly rank Jameson Williams, despite the ACL, way higher than Treylon Burks. And I agree with that. I do agree. His upside and what he was able to do at Alabama, he was the best wide receiver in this class. And again, I think I'm seeing a lot of George Pickens hype. I know Srikar's talked about him a little bit too. I've seen a lot of Jahan Dotson. I'm forgetting Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. So I think one of these guys, right, if not all 3, go before Treylon Burks. I think it's a hot take. I think it is pretty, unlikely. But I mean, my fits for Treylon Burks I think Green Bay is a really good fit. I've said this over and over. But a lot of teams are looking for maybe a tall guy that you can line up at X and throw it down the field. And I think that's better for the Chiefs. I don't think Treylon Burks is really what you need, up there in Kansas City. He can't run, or he can't fit a spread offense as well as you would think. So that's a hot take. Maybe you want to give your thoughts on that.
I actually agree in the sense that if the Chiefs have to decide between George Pickens and Treylon Burks, I think they go George Pickens, 100%. I think he fits their offense better. Jameson Williams was far and away better than Treylon Burks, in my opinion. I think even at this stage, you can still make an argument that he's wide receiver 1. I wouldn't make it personally, but I know there's a lot of people that still think he's going to come back and look as electrifying as he did at Alabama. So if you have Jameson Williams 1, go right on ahead. But with Treylon Burks, I think it's interesting. A lot of people have compared him to Deebo, and that teams will want to use him in that Deebo role. I won't go that far yet because I feel like Deebo's just one of a kind in that sense. I don't know if that stuff can just be replicated what he did.
I mean, I think it's really just how Kyle Shanahan used him, right? Because before that, no one really used a receiver the same way. No one had receivers go straight up the middle like a running. I'd never seen that. And
he was literally our lead back in the play.
Right. I mean, and that's why, I said in I think a TikTok I made, Kyle Shanahan's best thing he did for the Niners was his use of Deebo. I mean, it got him to the Super Bowl, right?
You could say that, or you could say changing the culture. Either one works. But
no, I said that, and a lot of Niner fans were like, "Look at this guy giving the most backhanded compliment to Kyle Shanahan."
It is,
dude. But it's facts. Okay, Deebo was the main reason they were up 20-10 in that Super Bowl. Like he had what 93 scrimmage yards in the first half. Like he was going berserk. And speaking of Deebo Samuel, obviously OG fans know how much I love him. OG fans know I've talked with him before. OG fans know Srikar is a diehard Niners fan. And it sucks for Srikar. It doesn't suck for me because I'm cool wherever he goes. Deebo Samuel requested a trade. He has been very adamant about not wanting to play for San Francisco again. There was even a video of him at a club going when they said,
that was actually shot down by the club's owner. Apparently, it wasn't even in reference to. But
"Oh, okay,
speculation.
shot down." Yeah, okay. Even though it looked pretty obvious, but yeah, that, and then also obviously he said that he doesn't even, no matter what they offer him, he just won't take it from SF. So maybe sad for Niner fans. Albeit I have to take out my bias. He's had one really productive season the year before he got hurt, right? And then his rookie year, he showed some promise towards the end. So that's what we're working with here, a 3-year sample size, but only a 1-year really sample size of him being an elite wide receiver worthy of 25 plus mil production. So let's get your thoughts on it, right? Do you think that the Niners should let him go? Do you think that they should wait for him to hold out? And what would you want from him, and what's a realistic package?
Well, I think it's kind of ironic that you say Shanahan, the best thing he's done is his use of Deebo, because Adam Schefter or one of these NFL insiders, there's reports that say he's mad about his usage.
Right. Yep.
And that's kind of a pretty big turnoff to teams that may be interested, because if you don't like how he was used in this system, obviously I kind of get it. You don't want as much pressure on you. Maybe you don't want this wide back role that you
Well, I mean, it's more chance of injury, right? I mean, you're asking him to go direct with his frame. You're asking him to go
Right.
directly.
But in that
between
case,
the
I would
tackles.
expect money to be the problem then, because at least you can have some security in that sense, not leave the team. So that's where I'm kind of confused, but let's talk about it. While the reasons Deebo wants out have been documented, I mean, the big question is just where it all goes. And for San Francisco, I think the return for Deebo probably needs to either match or be bigger than what Tyreek Hill cost, which was 5 picks, including first and second round picks. Tyreek Hill is 2 years older, and he was due for almost 21 mil this year before signing his extension, compared to Deebo's cap hit, which is a lot less than that. However, Deebo isn't nearly as accomplished. Hill is a 6-time Pro Bowler and 3-time first-team All-Pro. So whoever is, looking at him there, they might kind of hesitate at the price, which puts him in a tough position. And obviously with the usage concerns, if San Francisco isn't getting the right offer, I'm going to say this, he's stuck. The Niners have all the leverage here because you can control him. And if you're going to hold out the CBA, the new collective bargaining agreement, it makes it really hard, like nearly impossible to hold out. What he can do is he can hold in, so he can attend training camp and just refuse to not do anything. But I don't know why you do that. It's kind of a rarity. So I could see him being stuck, and the Niners could tag him in 2023 before either, meeting a deal on an extension or trading him, kind of like Devontae Adams. And with the draft approaching, the Niners are definitely going to get calls. Obviously, we see teams such as the Lions, the Jets, the Packers are in on it. It wouldn't be surprising if others jump in as well. I could see the Chiefs being in on it. I think he's a perfect fit in Kansas City. But my question is, will we actually move our biggest offensive threat while trying to get a first-year starting quarterback and Trey Lance acclimated? I think it would take, it's been reported they want a king's ransom. I really think it would take that. I think it would take a crazy offer to trade Deebo. And as far as I'm concerned, the Niners have the leverage here.
All right. Well, maybe Deebo saw how Trey Lance looked and said, "Hey, I don't want to play with this bum."
Oh, sure. Oh,
No,
sure.
I'm kidding. Look, I disagree with the whole King's ransom thing, because the picks that the Raiders got and the picks that the Chiefs got are low tier first round picks. The ones that are being offered are high tier first round picks. And I think that's a really big difference, like really big. Usually the ones that are in the high 20s are guys that are maybe on the fence, right? They can either hit or they can massively miss. But these top 10 guys are almost always a hit, and they're very, very valuable pieces. So when the Jets say they have they're willing to offer the 10th pick, right? Like that's a big deal. I think that's a way bigger deal than the 28th pick or the 29th one that the Chiefs can give. Like, I think that's a considerable difference. So I don't know if they have to give 5 picks. I heard
No,
from
but
Albert
that's not even
Breer.
what I'm saying. I think it just has to match in value to Tyreek's trade or be bigger. It doesn't have to be 5 picks.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can see that because, I mean, Deebo is younger. So, I mean, and also the fact is, right, you'll still get that 4th year
Yeah,
of his salary and then you get to pay. So it's in reality like a 5-year deal if you were to give him like a 4-year extension or something like
right.
that.
Mhm.
My only thing with it is, look, I have to take out my bias and out the way. I just don't know what you give him because his production last year obviously garners, 28, 30 mil annually, which, look, I just don't
I'm
like
not
paying
giving him that.
receivers.
I'm being real. I'm not. I'd rather trade at that point.
Look, he is so dynamic. He was such a big, culture booster for this team. So to sit up here and say that the Niners are going to be the same without him, it's really hard to say just because he wasn't used like a wide receiver. Like I think
Yeah.
sure the usage thing for him he might be angry with, and I totally agree with him because you want to prolong your career. I mean, you're sending a dude who's like 6 foot, 6'1", not even like 230, like he's like maybe 20 pounds lighter than running backs in between tackles. Like that's a really big ask
It's just a
from a
little
guy.
weird to me since he was kind of embracing that wide back sort of thing. He was saying it all the time how he loves being a wide back. I'll do whatever I need to do for the team to win. It's just kind of weird that it just comes up all of a sudden.
Right. I mean, maybe
I
it's a
understand it.
leverage point to get out. I mean, I don't know what, it really just kind of came about kind of like Tyreek Hill thing, except this thing is lasting longer because the Niners don't want to get rid of him. Uh, I think the Niners are more stuck than Deebo because they will offer a bigger, like I think someone will offer a big package. I just don't know if because I think if it doesn't go through the draft, then you're stuck. Both sides are
Well,
stuck.
then you can get something done during summer. That just gives you more
But
time.
what are you gonna? Then you're gonna have to get capital for next year, and that's very, what do you call it?
Capital for next year.
Yeah, but capital for next year is very uncertain because you don't know how the other team is gonna do. You don't know what pick that's gonna be, right? So even if you get the Jets next year's pick, what if they turn out good? You just don't want to bet on something like that. Versus you're getting a
But what
top
I'm
10 selection right now
Devo's gonna have to report anyways.
because of the yes, he will,
He's gonna
but
have to come anyways.
yeah,
So
so he'll
have
do
him.
that. That's not the issue. But I mean, is he willing to hold out on a game to game basis? Because I think you're right. The rule changes. I think they fine extra now per
You
game,
get
right?
you get a hefty fine if you.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, no Le'Veon Bell in this
Yeah,
situation,
no,
but
that's not happening.
yeah. Again, I think it's very murky. I guess from fits wise, right? I would love Kansas City. I would love Green Bay, and yeah, Kansas City and Green Bay. I don't want him to go to the Jets just because it would make Jack happy, and I don't want that. I don't want that. Obviously, you guys didn't know I wouldn't want him in an AFC North rival, but any other team I'm happy with. Again, Deebo's an all-time talent. I think he's terrific after the catch. He's terrific wherever you line him up, X, Y, Z, backfield. I mean, so he's a good blocker too. I mean, hey, wherever he goes, obviously it'll be sad for Srikar. But okay, let's get it out the way. Do you think he will be traded this offseason?
My guess right now, no, I don't think.
Okay.
Obviously, it could change, but I'm gonna say
I'm on the fence. I just think with how progressive the league is, I'm gonna say yes. I think someone is going to give an offer to the Niners. Like someone's going to be willing to, because Deebo I think his upside is way higher than anybody in the draft class, and he's a proven commodity. Like he's a proven wide receiver one. I've said this ever since he came out the draft. He is going to be the Niners wide receiver one. It's not Brandon Ayuk. It's not Jalen Hurd for all those stupid Niner fans at that preseason game who went crazy for him. I think he's the guy that he's just bona fide wide receiver one. And I think whatever team goes after him, he's an easy replacement for a for a Tyreek Hill. And I guess only time will tell, but time is ticking in terms of this year's draft capital. And I think if it doesn't happen after this draft, I'm with you. I say he's not. He's not.
And we got a long time to figure it out. So
These 4 days are going to be really crucial till Thursday. Thursday is the big day. If it doesn't happen after that, I'm with you. But I'm going to say yes. I'm going to hold out for the next 4 days. And who knows? I mean, I think this episode is going to come out on like Wednesday. So if it's not traded by then, no, you know what? Knowing our luck, he's going to be traded in the next 2 days.
It's gonna happen. Yeah. It's gonna happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, speaking of another receiver not wanting out, but the team wants to trade him, it's the Giants shopping Kadarius Toney. Now we all know Kadarius Toney was not like a you know what's it called, consolation prize, but the Giants did trade back last year's draft and picked him.
Yeah.
To many people's surprise, right? I think it was like the 22nd pick, something like that, when the Bears
20th
traded
pick.
up. 20th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the Bears traded back, up to go to 11 for Justin Fields, they take Kadarius Toney, and he had a couple pretty like spark plug games. I mean, the one against Dallas, right? 189 yards, no touchdowns, but it was really, really solid performance. He's a high upside player. It's just, you're not gonna get, I think, the package that you would like for him, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's unproven in the sense, and he's also just like what you just picked him, right? What are you doing? I mean, like,
Well, it's
what
a
does
new-
Joe Schoen want out of this? What do you?
I think, well, I'll say this. There should be no shortage of teams interested in Toney. He showed promise in that first year despite being out of the end zone the whole year, but he also has 4 years left on his rookie deal. So you get cheap control of an interesting talent. I'll say this. If Joe Schoen gets on the phone with the team and he gets a day 2 pick offered and he wants out from Toney, he just wants to start fresh there. I think it could happen. I think he could begin shaking up the roster. In terms of fits, anyone who wants Deebo, this is basically a consolation prize for that.
Right.
Like the Chiefs, for example. Brett Veach, he loves taking on former first round picks and turns them into great players. So I think this could be a potential target for him.
Yeah, I mean, Toney is a good player. Like
He is,
and
but
also to be used in New York, he was not used right. I mean, like he
Devon
simply
Joe
just
Shane, I mean, how can you not give him another year? Isn't it a little
right.
bit
Yeah,
early?
I mean, you're giving 18 mil to Kenny Galladay, and it's also like, look, Kenny Galladay with the Lions was a 100-yard per game wide receiver. He was a wide receiver one for Detroit. Like he was really productive. And yeah, this last year was massively disappointing. And how much was that on him, Daniel Jones? I just don't know.
It was everything.
Like, right. So are you just all in on Kenny Galladay? Are you in on Sterling Shepard? Because now they're also
Keep this in
shopping
mind, they're
Darius
also
Slayton.
According to a report, they're also shopping Darius Slayton.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know what core you want to go with heading into next year. I mean, I think Toney is a perfect guy that you put out of the slot. He is tremendous with his route running. I think he's got ultra gifted speed. So, I mean, if anyone does not want to give up a king's ransom for Deebo Samuel, Kadarius Toney is right up there for high upside talent. So,
Right.
I don't know what the Giants are doing. I mean, because this is a staff that we've been happy with, right? Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. So I don't know. I'm a little bit confused.
I think this is more so Joe Shane's work than Brian Daboll. I feel like Daboll wants to see what he's got with Toney, especially with the whole offense, really.
Right.
I just don't know why he'd start fresh because he can do a lot of things with Toney in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean Toney's faster than
You can use him like
Isaiah
Isaiah McKenzie.
faster than Diggs, and he's a better route runner than Gabe Davis. So it's like you got a little bit of something there, right?
He can play that Isaiah McKenzie role. Who knows?
No way, he's better than I.
He's better,
no way
but he
more.
can play the role.
If not more. I mean, like I think he can honestly be a wide receiver one out the slot. Like I think he's a more talented. Like he's really talented. Like I mean, like I think they can use him in a Hunter Renfrow type role. I'm not saying he is going to be as good as him, but the talent is there. Like I just one. We've seen the only big time prospect that was picked in the first round that like changed course after 1 year is Josh Rosen. That's the last major one I can remember.
Yeah.
And that's a really different situation.
Yeah.
So this is something that we really just don't see. And CJ Henderson from the Jags.
Oh, right.
But when he went to the Panthers, we really didn't hear much from him. So
it's going to be interesting. I don't think anything really shapes up here.
Right.
But if something does happen, I wouldn't be surprised.
So you say he doesn't get traded?
I'm going to say he's not going to get traded.
I'm hoping he does, but at the same time, I'm not, just because I don't want Daniel Jones to be just like. Again, I've been saying just give him some weapons. So, yeah. So, I guess keep Kadarius Toney, but I also do want to see if he can be used with the Chiefs or the Packers. I think that would be a really interesting fit.
Good landing spots for him.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna move on then to our final topic of the day. Unfortunately, Jack's not here to debate this with us, so we'll do it for him. GM Joe Douglas, I believe Srikar was telling me in a press conference, said that he sees 100% greatness in Zachary Wilson. Their first round pick in 2021. he had a pretty shaky, rough start to the first half of the season, but he built on it in the second half. He had the best touchdown interception ratio for all rookies in the second half of the year, and he's going into year two with some good pieces, and obviously they'll get some more in the draft with the 4th and 10th pick. So, I'll toss it over to you. Do you agree with that? Like, do you think he's going to be a potential franchise changer?
I think he can. I'll say this: nobody was set up for failure more last season than actually. No, let me take that.
No, come on. Trevor
Okay,
Lawrence.
other than everyone associated with Urban Meyer, nobody was set up for failure more last season than Zach Wilson. When they
Davis
drafted him,
Mills.
I'll say this because when they drafted him, the Jets had a first-year head coach, first-time offensive coordinator, a backup quarterback who'd never thrown a single NFL pass, which I really didn't like. I kept making it being known during the season. And yeah, as you said,
Oh yeah, Mike White.
Wilson struggled horribly to start the season to the point, as you said, Mike White, he was getting real love from fans and even some media to potentially unseat Wilson, but
Right.
did finish his rookie year strong. No picks over his final 5 starts. That definitely impressed me. And that's going to prompt Joe Douglas here to, say he sees 100% greatness during that press conference. And I do agree. I think there's definitely greatness there. His skill set definitely allows for it. I know a lot of people saw a little bit of Mahomes in him, a little bit of Allen in him coming out of the draft. But although Douglas might love Wilson, he hasn't done much to help him this offseason. The Jets have been proactive in trying to find a star receiver such as Tyreek Hill, but they failed to do it. It is what it is. And in the draft, you got a pair of top 10 picks. You got to find at least one playmaker for this guy, because if New York is going to compete and play important games after September, I mean, this offense can't be Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Braxton Berrios. You need a real deal guy there. So I don't know. I think I do see greatness. I'm with Joe Douglas there. It's all a matter of, helping him, uplifting him, and seeing that development.
Well, okay. I mean, here's the thing. Like, give me an answer though. Do you think, like, all right, let's see. Do you think he's going?
My answer is yes. I do see.
Okay,
greatness.
rank. I guess I'll toss over this question to you, because I did rank the second year quarterbacks going in next year. Who I think will be the best? Where do you see him falling? Like, give me a number.
Okay. So we'll go.
Obviously, your options out of the 6, right? So Justin
Right.
Fields, Mac Jones, Davis Mills, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson.
If it's next year,
Trey
I'm
Lance.
going to say 3. If it's next year,
Who's 2 and 1?
I'd say Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
Actually, I'll put him at 2. I'd say Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. I don't know what Justin Fields. I really don't know. I feel like he's going to show his talent. But have you seen the Bears?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's criminal what they're doing.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
crazy. So I'm gonna put Justin.
Okay, so you're gonna say
4.
3,
Yeah. I'll say 3 for Zach Wilson.
or no? You said
Or 2.
2. Okay.
2 over.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on 2. I think he's way more talented than Sam Darnold. I think he's a better player than Sam Darnold. No slander, but yeah, obviously you guys know my thoughts on Sam Darnold. So yeah, I think he's way more talented. And he's way better, I guess, outside the pocket. My thing with Zach Wilson, I guess, is you're right. They really, I mean, they spent a 1st-round pick on Elijah Moore last year, right? So it's not like they didn't try.
Right, but you need a wide receiver.
Yeah, he's not a wide receiver 1. That was what frustrated me. I thought they should have gone after like a Rashad Bateman. He's not a Moore's not a wide receiver 1. He's a guy that maybe you can put at Z, but I think Braxton Berrios is honestly solid there. So you're right. I think they do need to go after a wide receiver 1. Is that a Drake London? Is that a Garrett Wilson? I mean, I think for them, Drake London would fit really nicely. It's perfect. The thing is, they also need help on the back end. I love Ashton Davis, Cal alum. I love him. I think he's a good, solid piece at free safety. But Bryce Hall, as good as the PFF people like him, there were plays where I'm just like he looks lost. So I think you like Sauce Gardner. I mean, it's really up in the air. Do you want a true wide receiver 1, or do you want?
Well, you could get Sauce at 4 and then a receiver at 10.
Then you pass up on an edge, right? Like I think if Kayvon is there at 4,
the edge class is deep though. What
right?
if you have 34, so you'd basically be picking back in a first round
Well,
pick.
that's the thing, right? At 34, you can get yourself a George Pickens. You can get yourself a Jahan Dotson. You can get yourself a Christian Watt. You can get yourself a Traylon Burks.
But
So
I feel more safe in Drake London being a wide receiver one than,
those
the
guys,
back end guys.
I think if I'm the Jets, here's what I would do. And I think Jack would agree with me on this. If Kayvon's at 4, no doubt I'm taking Kayvon at 4. Absolutely. And then at 10, if Sauce is there, I'm taking Sauce. I am. So I go Kayvon at 4, right? And I go Sauce at 10. Okay. If that would, and then I would go receiver at 34. If let's say Kayvon is gone, right? Then I would probably go Sauce at 4, right? And then receiver at 10, and then I'd go edge at 34, right? I think that's,
Honestly, I really don't think there's, a wrong way to go about it, because if you look at it, the corner class is deep too. Obviously,
yeah, but I think you want a can't miss, like Sauce is can't miss. So yeah, so I think they go, but I think the 3 positions we can see the Jets going here are corner, edge, and receiver. Which at least I'm glad the Jets have some stability there, because we knew Jets were going quarterback last year, so like we know what they're doing. It's just can they can these guys hit, right? Mekhi Becton was a hit. He's just too big. Like he gets hurt because of his size.
We don't even know if he's a hit long term.
Right. I mean, yeah, long term, you're right. So I mean, the Jets just have these pieces that maybe show out for a little bit and then they just fall out flat. So you need some consistency there. And the same question goes for Zach Wilson, right? Can you do it for a full year? Can you build on it? And if we're being honest, I think he had a really similar year to Josh Allen's rookie year. It's just he didn't have, for me, like a one game that I was like, oh man, that was terrific. Like I mean, the Bucks game he played well. That's, I guess, the best one I saw him play.
It was more so consistency over those final 5.
Right, exactly. I mean, Josh had the Vikings one for me that I loved. Zach never really had that. T-Law had the Colts one, right? Yeah. Davis Mills had maybe the Chargers or the Titans one. Justin Fields, for me, it was the Pittsburgh game. Trey Lance is Trey Lance, whatever. Yeah, he hasn't had enough yet, so I can't say much. I guess, and then Mac had the Browns game. So each guy has had a game where we've been like, oh, right. So like each guy has had like oh wow, like these guys are looking really good. I guess Zach really never had that, so I'm kind of interested to see if he can this year, because I'm not going to completely rule out the Jets on having a winning season, but it's really unlikely with how the division is looking. It's going to be really tough for them to kind of usurp any of the 3 teams.
Right.
But to say, I mean, I'm going to go with you too. I think Zach Wilson will have the second best season, like individually, of the 6.
Yep. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is just a big unknown at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's
like, can I really put him at 2?
I mean, it's the wild card, right? So individually, right, you can say, oh, I mean, team-wise, oh yeah, the Niners are obviously going to be up there for NFC contenders. It's just how much of it is because of Trey Lance, right?
Right.
And we don't really know. I mean, the 2 games we saw, let's be real. Come on, they were not. It
was up and down. He definitely showed a lot of flashes, but also
more downs than ups. Let's be real. It was more downs than ups. The Cardinals game was all down. The Texans first half was all down, and then the second half, fine. There were some ups there, but
I did see some good throws, though. I mean, there's obviously just stuff that comes with his inexperience, though. So
right, it's just like, I mean, it's a similar thing I said in my scouting report of Malik Willis. It's like his accuracy dips when he's outside the pocket. That he's a mobile quarterback though, so you need to develop some sort of consistency on throwing outside if you want to really utilize that part of your game.
And I think his processing is just a little bit, it needs a lot more developing. Seeing the middle of the field.
I mean, yeah, and that goes for all these QBs, right? Like, because honestly, Mills, Fields, T-Law, Zach, they can all move. Like they can all also move outside the pocket. Obviously not as fast as Trey, right? And maybe Mac Jones is not, he's a pocket passer, but the other guys they can throw on the run. I've seen T-Law do it in the biggest of stages.
And good coaching can help with that.
Right, and it depends on the system. Let's see what the Jets do offensively, because obviously Saleh's not really involved in any of those personnel decisions. So let's see what the Jets do. Again, I'm not really expecting much from them as a team this year. But if Zach can develop in his second year and really build on it, let's hope for a third-year breakout.
Could happen. We'll see.
Yep. So I guess that's going to wrap up this episode. We had a ton of fun of this one. Draft is literally, at the time we're recording this, it's going to happen at our time exactly 3 days from now. So we're so excited. Obviously, again, our teams aren't picking, but hopefully we get some exciting things in round one. Maybe some surprise upsets. Maybe one of these hot takes, if they pan out, we'll clip it and then we'll take some bragging rights. But yeah, let us know some maybe draft bold predictions. Your thoughts on Deebo and Kadarius Toney, and then also some Zach Wilson talk. Let us know in the comments below. We'll try and respond to all of them, and we truly appreciate it. That being said, we've been the Cold Hard Truth Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.